I've recently started reading DC Comics for the first time, and I'm someone who likes to know the history of these characters, especially if it's affecting what I'm reading now. But what I've learned is that DC Comics history is messy, messier than my house right now. There's something about multiple Earths, an infinite crisis, Darkseid, who the Darkseid, and something about New 52. But I've always wondered, 52 what? 52 what? It's been reset more than once. That's literally all I know. So I figured I could go all the way back to the 1930s and read it all. But I don't have time for that. Or I could read this one book, The New History of the DC Universe. So let's see if it actually works. So the reason why I think knowing some of the DC Universe history is important to me, come in for a little secret. I'm a completionist kind of person, and so I know some of these major events in DC Universe history are going to be referenced in some of these stories that I'm going to be reading, and that's just gonna leave me with more questions, and it's gonna bother the heck out of me until I have them answered. So I did some searching on the interwebs to figure out the best way to learn the DC Universe history, and that gave me 3 answers. Number 1, don't worry about it. Just pick up something that you like and start reading, because ultimately it doesn't matter. And honestly, this is probably the best way to go about it. However, just knowing my history with Marvel Comics and wanting to know more about previous events and whatnot, the same thing's gonna happen with DC. Because again, that completionist is just gonna be killing me inside. It's gonna be like that baby alien crawling out of that person. Number 2, go back and read everything. Yeah, no. And number 3 was read this book. And what I gathered online is that this book is basically trying to take the multiple continuities and different storylines, timelines, and try to streamline them into one major canon that people can reference from here on out. So we're finished book 1, and as anticipated, I pretty much still know nothing. We're having Barry, I don't even remember his name, Barry Allen, the Flash. He's the one who is chronicling all of this. Now, there is no dialogue besides just at the beginning when Barry's kind of talking, saying that he needs to do this. It's all just what I'm assuming are major events or major points in DC Universe history, and really 1 to 3 sentences. Knowing what I know regarding Marvel's history and kind of like Celestials, the Eternals, and all these different gods and beings and space, and they created all this stuff, I wasn't necessarily, I don't know why I wasn't expecting almost the same thing in the DC Universe, but it's very similar. And we got some names that I've heard of. I really don't know anything but like Hawkgirl, Blue Beetle, Swamp Thing. Finally, one of the big names that I keep hearing and things that I need to know about, Darkseid. He's mentioned like 4 pages in. I'm not even sure if he's gonna be brought up again. My guess is maybe. He kind of looks like Apocalypse, sort of, but not really. I also feel though, like, why did we have to spell Apocalypse? Like, not the typical Apocalypse, like how you would normally spell Apocalypse, but we spelled it like Timu style Apocalypse? I don't know how else to explain it. Why would we literally spell it with lips? I mean, it makes sense, right? From like an English grammar standpoint, if you didn't know how to spell it. Book 1 ended with Superman escaping Krypton. I'm assuming in book 2, I'm gonna know a tiny, we're talking tiny bit more. We are currently in line waiting to drop off some household hazardous waste, and I knew it was gonna be a long line, so I brought my book. And we are notably getting characters that I'm more well aware of. The whole issue basically starts off with probably the most words towards one specific or 2 specific characters thus far, which makes the most sense. 2 of the biggest IPs in all of DC, Superman and Batman. We also get introductions or talk about more characters that I'm well aware of for the most part, like Wonder Woman, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, we have the Flash. So it's good to finally see some characters that I at least know their names. I'm gonna keep my eyes on the road while we're moving up in line here. There's a curve up around, and now I can see how long this line is. It is long. We might finish this book right now. The other thing though that I thought was kind of funny and interesting is they do mention Robin to be like the first quote unquote sidekick to Batman, and he was the first sidekick in general. And I feel like, I don't know this, but I have a hunch, because then they talk about the rest of the sidekicks that came in. And I really wonder if there was just really good fanfare reception to Robin and or Batman having a sidekick. So DC editorial went all Oprah and was like, you get a sidekick, you get a sidekick, you get a sidekick, you get a sidekick, because pretty much everyone has a sidekick. But the bigger thing is we finally got to what I'm considering obviously a major event within the DC continuity. First, before that though, we're gonna talk about like Darkseid. He clearly is just seeming to be like this looming threat, I guess. He still hasn't been made to like be this like huge big thing, but he like sent out some stuff. There's something on Earth that he's looking for, I guess, and then he's recruited some people. So now he's got minions on Earth, which obviously is not a good thing, and nothing that's been 100% super serious as of yet. But maybe that just hasn't been highlighted. I don't know. The major event that we got to though, I don't know the actual name. I lied because I looked at the first page of issue 3 and it was called The Great Crisis. It has to do with Anti-Monitor pretty much just going on a huge genocide across, I guess, the universe, really. And a lot of notable heroes had died, and most notably, as they mentioned at the end, Barry Allen, the Flash, he basically sacrificed himself to stop one of Anti-Monitor's deadliest weapons. And another notable death was Supergirl. Based on how long this line is and how little we are moving, I may finish this book today. Wow, issue 3 put the pedal to the metal. We finally are getting some like what I would consider our significant events. We have a lot, and I mean a lot. I feel like I now know a lot of significant stuff that if it's referenced, I could come back to this and maybe reference it. Superman died, that is sad, and then came back to life to defeat a bunch of other Supermans. And then he also got married to Lois Lane, very nice. And then they had a son in secret. Not only that, Batman had a ton of stuff happen. His spine was broken in half by Bane, and he was paralyzed, obviously. Also, can we talk about Batman being not so great? He was part of the Justice League, and he was like spying on everyone and was like thwarting to like take out all of the members of Justice League or something along those lines. And not only that, he was like monitoring all of the heroes later, which was then taken over by someone. Batman. Bro, maybe we should stop spying on all of our friends, Batman. We gotta talk about this. The Joker. The Joker is ruthless. I mean, I kind of knew that, but like, not really. He killed the second Robin. What? And not only that, a few pages later, the Joker also killed Commissioner Gordon's wife. I forget her name right now, but my goodness. I think the next biggest thing that I came across involving Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern, or a Green Lantern, and I gotta reference this because I will not remember. His mind was infested by Parallax, which I thought was like just a universe, but apparently it's like this entity, which is like evil and corruption essentially. It did some stuff to Hal Jordan. He did not do some great things. The other big theme that I came across in this issue was that there are a lot of different teams being formed, but they're not lasting for very long for whatever reason. And this has led to the ability of a lot of villains to take advantage of Earth and the universe. Darkseid was able to strike first, basically unleashed his anti-life equation, turning all of humanity into soulless justifiers, enslaving billions. I can finally see why Darkseid is such a bad person. I think the other big thing that I really enjoyed was the inclusion of the like Dakota universe from Milestone, essentially. And they're talking about Dakota and how all these characters came to be. And apparently there was an incident described as the Big Bang, and the heroes left with some powers are called Bang Babies. I really think that we could have come up with a better name than Bang Babies. Who approved this? But we end the issue, we learn Barry Allen was never dead. He was just trapped in this like dimension of some sort, supplying everyone with speed. Not the drugs, that would be bad. But apparently he came back and he was finally free of his prison, but he says would soon use basically his powers and freedom to destroy all there is. What? Barry, I thought you were a good guy. Why are we destroying things? I can't take any more destruction and resetting of universes, Barry. Okay, so Barry didn't mean to cause any harm to the universe with this thing. He was just trying to undo his mother's death. No big deal, but obviously redoing the past there's always consequences, Barry. We are done. All 4 issues complete. Issue 4 was, how do I put this? Even more confusing than probably the previous 3 issues, a lot has happened. We've had multiple resets. At least it seems that way, or it appears that way from this. I really do wonder, as like a comic reader who was probably trying to keep up at the time with like, say, single issues and stuff like that and really into DC, this had to be beyond frustrating. So let's get down to the brass tacks. Did this actually help me learn more about the DC universe and its history? I feel maybe 25 to maybe at most 50% better of the history of the DC universe. Now, did I think that this one singular book can teach me everything that I need to know? Of course not. That would be absolutely crazy. Did I think it was gonna help me a little bit more outline stuff? Yes, but I think in the essence of trying to have brevity, Mark Waid and the other writers tried their best to just get all the major points and facts and get it across, because I'm sure there are tons and tons of history that they had to parse through. That in and of itself was probably a really, really big and hard task. I think one of the biggest downfalls, and this really just relates to me, is that I have no history regarding the DC universe. I definitely think this book is definitely well better suited for someone who has been reading DC and has a better knowledge of the DC universe and its characters. Now, did I learn some stuff? Absolutely. But I still have no context of what to put a lot of it in. I definitely think issue 3 was probably the one that made the most sense and laid a lot of stuff out for me, where I kind of felt like there were major events that I could follow along and be like, okay, I understand what's kind of happening. That at the end of this book, they have a new history of the DC universe timeline all written out, which I'm sure that they used. It goes through and it kind of gives you like 1 to 2 sentence liners on specific events, and they have the reference material that they're using or that they're talking about. I would look at this as like the Cliff Notes of the DC Universe Encyclopedia. Do I think that makes this a bad book? Absolutely not. I think you should check it out, the various artists that are in there, and I think it's a good reference book to have in case you are reading something from the past and you're like, oh, let's try to figure that out. It may or may not be in this book. I don't know. However, the internet also exists, so there's that. With that being said, we've made more progress with packing, and I'm gonna try to get into my next book that I'm gonna vlog about, Batman, The Court of Owls. Make sure you hit like and subscribe down below to make sure that you don't miss that next video. And until the next video, peace.